Hi, my name is Ryan, and tonight we're going to be baking my version of what is one of the most delicious desserts around the holidays. I call it the pumpkin crunch. So hopefully we'll get it right on one take because I only have one set of ingredients. But here we go. Hope you enjoy, and I hope yours comes out delicious. Okay, so here we go. The ingredients we're going to need is we're going to need a can of pumpkin, a large can of pumpkin, or you can get two smaller cans. That's about the same. Four eggs, four large eggs. You're going to need a cup and a half of sugar. I do 3/4 cup brown sugar, 3/4 cup white sugar. You're going to need a can of evaporated milk. You're going to need some pumpkin spices. You can do these individually as like cinnamon, clove, and nutmeg, and you can grind them fresh yourself. But I'm just doing a very simple version tonight. That's the real easy, and then you guys can embellish your own way. You're also going to need a cake mix. You can use white cake mix, yellow cake mix. I prefer to use spice cake mix. The other thing is you're going to need about 8 to 10 ounces. I prefer more. You can adjust for yourself. But you're going to want your favorite nut. Now, I use pecans. Pecans are very good for the season. Originally, I started this recipe with walnuts, but pecans just taste better and they leave a better flavor in your mouth. And again, they really go with the holiday. You're going to need your baking dish. This is a disposable one because it's going to go to the awesome gentlemen and people over at the Santa Monica Fire Department. And then you're going to need two full sticks of melted butter. Now, I've already taken a little bit of the melted butter and I've greased my pan with it, but you can grease your pan however you like. You're also going to need a mixing bowl. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and I feel like that's probably it. So let's start with our wet ingredients. I'm going to take our mixing bowl here. I'm going to add in our 4 large eggs. I'm going to add in our pumpkin. You're going to obviously need a spatula and your typical tools for the kitchen. Make sure you get all of it out of there. Now, one trick that I didn't do today, but if you poke a little hole in the top of the can and then you give it a good shake, the whole thing will just slide right out. More times than not, it comes out perfectly. I've already shaken our can of evaporated milk. Now you can use low fat or non-fat. It's up to you. I use the full fat vitamin D added evaporated milk because I want to get the full flavor. I figure it's a dessert, so there's no skimping. All right, so those are our wet ingredients. I think actually what I'm going to do first is mix the wet ingredients. Now, you could use a power mixer if you'd like to. You could use your KitchenAid and put all these in there. I'll just, for this demo, I'm just going to do it by hand here. And just get everything mixing over real good. Now that looks pretty good. Now, honestly, when you buy your pumpkin pie mix, there's a set of instructions on the back of the pumpkin pie mix that are about making a couple pumpkin pies. If you follow those instructions for this base, you'll be in really good shape because that's essentially what I'm doing here. Now, if you want to create your own pumpkin pie, your own fresh pumpkin, you can do that. Go buy pumpkin and puree it and do all those other things. Okay, so there's the wet ingredients. Now I'm going to add the dry, which is just the sugar really. And then I normally will grind cinnamon and nutmeg and clove and put them in separately. But for this, again, I'm just going to use a pumpkin pie spice, get a portion of that. Now, another thing that I like to do is I like it spicy, so I like it where you really taste it. You can also add vanilla bean or vanilla extract of your choice. Adds a nice little depth of flavor, but for tonight, again, we're going to keep it simple. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep this mixing here. Give it a good mix. Some people will add more spice to their liking. So if you're somebody that really likes fresh nutmeg, then you can add a little bit more, but just keep in mind that this is a sweet dessert. indicated by all the sugar that we put in here. All right, so this is looking pretty good, pretty quick here, huh? All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the pumpkin base and we're going to transfer it into our pan. Just pour it right in there. Now you could do 2 smaller pans. I've actually broken this out into 3 small pans. It's a really great, it's a really great dish to make and give to people around the holidays that shows a little bit of love. And it's a little bit different than your average pumpkin pie. So, all right, so now we have the base. All right. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take our pumpkin cake mix, our spice cake mix, all right? And we're going to move this a little bit closer so you can see what we're doing. And we're going to take the cake mix and we're just going to sprinkle it along the top. So you want to use the whole bag. Again, I'm using spice cake. Originally, I think I was using white cake or yellow cake. But the recipe is definitely evolved over the years. So you get it all in there. Even if it looks like it's too much, it's not. Trust me, because this is going to be your crunchy, crunchy crust. Now, I'll be honest with you, I am not a pumpkin pie fan. I don't really like pumpkin pie. And when I was in college, I had a friend's mom have me over for Thanksgiving, and she offered me a similar dessert to this, very similar. And I said, oh, no, thank you. I don't really like pumpkin pie. She said, you got to try this. Now, hers had not as much spice in it, didn't have as much sugar in it. She was keeping a low sugar version. She didn't have the spice cake. She had walnuts and a few other differences. So it kind of reverse engineered and made this over the years. Now, I'm taking a fork and smoothing out the top just so that the next process, it goes a little easier, but that's maybe because I'm a little OCD. So anyways, that person that I went to college with was Elena K. Aloha. So Elena, thank you very much. Your mother inspired me to make this for years and years and years. And wherever I've moved over the country and lived, I've always made this dessert and shared the recipe. So I finally decided, you know what? Why don't I do a little video of it? And we can share the video and make it easy for everybody. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking the pecans and I'm sprinkling them over this dry cake mix. Make sure you don't drop them over the side like I just did. Want to get a nice even crunch. All right. You can sprinkle the crumbs over if you'd like, but you don't have to. All right. So we're almost there. Almost there. Just one step left, and it's the most important step. It's the buttery step. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take this butter, and I'm going to just give it a little swirl to get the fat solids moving around so that they're not all just clumped together. I guess I could have grabbed my trusty little whisk, but it's used to mix. So we're getting there. All right. Looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really carefully pour this butter. Now this particular saucepan has a spout on it, which makes it much easier. You can pour it through a lot of different ways, but you want to make sure that you get it. I try to make sure that I get to the edges and then get the edges wet, and then I work through the middle. I'll do this side so you can actually see the butter. See, rookie on the filming of baking. So there we go. So that's approximately 2 sticks. That's what I put in there, and I put a little bit in my pan. And now we're ready to go. So I'm going to put this in the oven for 350. Now, you can follow the directions on the can again. The can says to preheat the oven to 425 and bake for 15 minutes, and then do the 350 to 40 to 50 minutes. And that's because they want you to get that nice crust on a pie, but this is not a pie, so don't do the 450 or 425. I go straight to the 350, and I bake it for about 45 minutes, and I just watch it, kind of make sure that it looks like it's browning up just nice. Now, if you use your convection oven, which I have here, but I'm choosing not to use that feature, you will more than likely burn or really over roast the pecans. So I recommend 350, and about 40 minutes in, start to take a look at it and make sure that your center is brown. And then once your center starts to get brown, you're going to take it out. You're going to let it cool. Then you're going to put it in the refrigerator overnight, get it nice and cold. And then you're going to slice it, serve it upside down with some Cool Whip or whip topping of your choice. I make a whipped cream in a canister with a little bit. What I do is I take the canister that has the air injection, and I take my whipped cream and a little bit of confectioner sugar and a little bit of that pumpkin pie spice, and I make it that way. So then you're kind of like, it's sweet, it's that really velvety whipped cream, as well as it has a little bit of the spice in there that ties in the dessert. So we're going to put this in the oven, and we'll see if we can pull this out and show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, let's give this a check. Now, when you break it down into the little ones, it does cook faster. That's pretty nice. It looks pretty good. We don't have any extreme browning. Let's get this a little closer there. Right there. Looks pretty nice. So, unfortunately, like I said, I'm going to be giving this one to, not unfortunately that I'm giving it to the fire department, but we won't be able to take a look at this thing in the next step, which would be after tomorrow morning, serving it up. So what you want to do is you want to let it cool at room temperature, and then you're going to put it in the fridge overnight, and then serve it with your favorite whipped topping. I recommend whipped cream with a little bit of flavor. Hope you enjoy this. Hope you make one of these for your friends and family this holiday season. Happy holidays.